everybody, welcome back to Pop Culture Warrior. I am, of course, CQ. And oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I'm so excited. I was just saying, I'm going to try not to smile like a doofus the whole time because I'm so very excited for my guest tonight. So my guest tonight is a versatile actress and brings her talents to both comedies and dramas in the mediums of film, television, and theater. She shot over 200 episodes of television, a dozen TV pilots, and a dozen TV movies. She's been on Broadway, off-Broadway, and worked in regional theater. We all absolutely adored her as Victoria on the hit TV series How I Met Your Mother. She currently has a multi-year deal with the Hallmark Channel, including starring in films, directing them, writing them, producing them. And as if all that wasn't enough, she's also started a women's directing initiative there called Make Her Mark. I'm going to try and get through this and keep my composure. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to our guest tonight, Miss Ashley Williams.
Oh my goodness. That was an embarrassingly long biography. Whoever put that biography out there needs to cut it down. You poor thing.
It's beautiful.
Sorry.
It's so well written. It hits the mark so well. Let me tell you. Okay?
It is verbose. Well, thank you. Thanks for going through all that. And I got to say, I mean, the reason I'm here is because I'm a massive fan of yours. I saw you, as you know, perform live at a mutual friend of ours' house, and you killed. It was so much fun to watch you and your comedy. You want me to keep going?
Oh my God, please. No, stop.
I mean, but seriously though, dude, like you really murdered. And it is like it's a really big deal when somebody performs live like that. And it was an intimate space. And a couple people bombed that night. I'm not going to name names, but then you got up there and you slayed. And I was like, who is this guy? And then I think my husband like beelined for you afterwards and was like, what's up? We want to be friends. So I am here. The feeling is mutual. I'm so happy to be on your show. I'm totally honored that you're having me. And
I'm sweating. God damn it, woman. I'm sweating now. I'm burning beet red. I'm sweating. I've never been so embarrassed. Thank you for those kind words. And I'll tell the flip side of that is, I spotted you in the audience before, and I went, oh my God, that's Victoria. Oh my God, it's Victoria. And I was like, no, keep calm. Keep calm. It's cool. It's fine. Whatever. And I totally played it cool. I was like, I'm not going to be the weirdo that's going to run over to her. I'm like, oh my God, I love you. Like, I was just like, I'm going to play it cool. And then I remember I was talking to someone and I get a tap on the shoulder and I turn and we're face to face.
Oh wait, did I tap you on the shoulder?
It was well, you and your husband were together.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I didn't know. I was I can't recall anything you said at all. Because I just
I remember you avoiding eye contact with me. Which always makes me pursue harder. I'm like, what? Who's he looking at? Let me get in there. Who is this guy?
There's your moves, guys. There's how you get the girl. Make eye contact. Yeah, just drag him in.
Like literally, this is you. You were like, oh, it's really nice to meet you. I was like, where's he going?
Because I was like, man, if I look right at you, I'll like swoon, and that'll be really weird.
Oh, stop it.
Yes,
hilarious.
It's so true. It's so true. But you were and the last thing I'll say, and I came on this show the very next week, and I went, you guys are never going to believe what happened to me. And I told the story because I was like, she asked to take a picture with me. Like, what the fuck? Are you kidding? No one has ever wanted a picture with me. All right. Let alone someone who's.
Wait, did I take it on my phone?
I have it. I think I don't know if we both have, but I have it.
Must have taken it on your phone.
It might have been.
But that's weird that I would ask you for a picture and then be like, get your phone out.
I don't know who's your husband took it, somebody. But yeah, it was such a nice thing. Anyway.
Well,
gush
I'm
enough.
So happy to be here. I'm a big fan.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna gush as much as the challenge is on.
All right, fair enough. And we do have a mutual friend, not Carter Bays. Everybody knows. I've had Carter Bays on the show. Oh my God, love him to death. He's so awesome.
Nicest guy in the world.
We do have another mutual friend, and in fact, because I had tweeted about him, like, oh my God, Ashley's gonna be on the show, blah blah. And Eddie McClintock from Warehouse 13.
Oh, wait. I love Eddie.
He says to say, hey, tell Ashley I
I
said, hey.
love that guy. How's he doing? Have
He's
you
good.
been in touch with him recently?
We good, yeah. I mean, because I go to a lot of conventions, so we bump into each other once in a while. And he's been on the show. He has the record on this show. I could not get him off. We talked for almost 2.5 hours.
Oh, geez. Don't
I
worry.
was.
That's not going to happen because bedtime comes up in this house right quick.
That's right. That's right.
That's so, he's honestly one of the nicest guys. I had the best time working with him.
Yeah.
I love Eddie. He's such a good guy.
There you go. I will tell him you said you send your love, and
Please
yeah,
do.
he was so happy to see you were coming up. So anyway,
Aw.
at some point we've got to get started with the interview, guys.
gosh.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. As always, if you have questions for Miss Ashley Williams, please put them in the chats. I will see them, and if they're appropriate, you dirty people, we will ask her and see what she says. But the first question, as always, with every single guest, I always like to know, what is your military connection?
My Uncle Mac. My Uncle Mac has been serving. I think he just recently retired. But he's been serving since I was like 5. And he's based in Virginia. He's one of those guys, man, like a cigar always in his mouth. He's such a good guy. We love Uncle Mac, and of course, I'm so grateful for everything that he's done for our country. And
That's awesome.
yeah.
Do you know what job he does? Out of curiosity,
Ooh.
that's a
Something
tough one.
Honestly, he's really high powered, but because I do feel like it was changing. I kind of want to look it up on Facebook. Is that a weird thing to do right now?
Not at all.
Uncle Mac.
We're
Mac.
shout out to Mac.
Mac Mullins. There he is. Uncle Mac. He went to Dartmouth. Hey.
We're learning about Uncle.
It doesn't have his oh yeah, okay, I have his birthday. It doesn't have his what he did.
No.
But yeah, he's retired now, but he's the
That's
best.
awesome.
See, there's a picture of him golfing. Hopefully he's doing a lot more golfing.
He definitely served for quite a while if he's golfing, because you have to work your way up to that level. But awesome, man. I will thank him for his service. We appreciate that, and thank you for your support. So being that we are a pop culture themed show, I'm curious, is there anything or what if, like, what do you geek out about? What's your thing?
Okay. Well, this might be a little bit more touchy-feely than many of your guests, but recently I became absolutely obsessed with trying to crack who the guest was that offended Glennon Doyle on her podcast with Abby Wambach. Do you know about this saga?
I've heard loosely about it.
I mean, I'm going to say from like midnight to 6 a.m. one night, I just was sat there sleuthing. And I have a couple of suspicions that I'm too scared to say out loud because that's serious stuff. But that kind of, it's like every once in a while, it'll kind of nab me, I'm very upset and concerned that Britney Spears' Instagram was taken down either today or yesterday.
Okay.
I hope she's okay. I think she's posted pictures of her kids, and I hope that didn't get her in trouble. But I had some like actual anxiety about that.
It's the empathy. That's you connecting. It's
You know what? That's what it is. Well, and it's also I just think I'm so worried about her. I hope she's okay.
Is that the mom in you coming out?
Or the sister or yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
think it's a woman,
I can't imagine. It's got to be hard. It's got to be hard to, I mean, hey, side tangent, but you see any of these, I mean, mega stars who just blow up overnight and become like, you can't live a normal life. You can't go out, and I can't imagine how tough that is.
She's set up for failure, it's poor thing,
Yeah.
and like, by the way, like crazy talented, like you watch her 2000, I'm gonna say like, no, maybe it was like 99, like brilliant performer, brilliant.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's been stressing me out recently. What else do I have for you? It's the dark corners of the internet is really where I reside.
I like it. So many people go for the easy, like, oh, I'm really into music, or I'm really into, yoga,
I
like,
mean,
oh,
well, yeah.
the dark corners of the internet. We're very much alike that way. I like that. We probably cross paths on some weird websites. That's all right.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
are there any just getting to know you? Are there any charities that you're really behind, or any things that you really support that you want to give a minute to shout out?
That's so nice of you to ask. Every time I mention my charity, I'm always like, "Is anyone gonna be annoyed?"
Please.
My my mother died of, Alzheimer's disease about 5 years ago. So we do this crazy fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Association every year. It's called the Dance Party to End Alz. We actually just had it and we raised $525,000. I was gonna say million, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. Um, that would have been a whole. That would have been a.
Alzheimer's
We
is
would have.
cured. There you go.
Yeah, yeah, we did it. Yeah, so $525,000. It was an awesome event, and the idea behind it is celebrating our lives and the people who are taking care of the people with the illness are often their lives are more in danger than the person who's actually been diagnosed with the disease, because the caretaking is exhausting. So what we have is a lot of caretakers at these events who are just partying. I mean, these people dance, they drink, they deserve it.
Yeah.
So we dance all night. We got all these amazing local bands in Nashville. Brad Paisley, who happens to be one of my family members, he played a couple songs. We had just this crazy, awesome lineup. We had Melinda Doolittle. We had, oh my gosh, Jay Allen. Anyway, it was an awesome, awesome event. And so the Alzheimer's Association. So I'm kind of annoying about that. I pipe up about it
No,
probably too
absolutely.
much.
We love to
So
see what people are passionate about. That's the best part.
yeah, yeah, that's my thing.
Okay. Well, I did my research and a little bit about you. I know you were born in Westchester, New York. I know that you studied at Boston University and the School of Theater Arts, obviously, and you spent a year abroad in London. I know you're the daughter of a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. He's a freelance health and science writer. Yeah, I know, I know. I'm curious.
Dude,
I'm curious
dude, this
though.
is so awesome. Yes. Uh-huh.
I'm
Uh-huh.
curious. What's the family like growing up? What was the unit? I know you have your sister Kim, and what was it like? What was Ashley as a child? What was that like growing up? We're gonna get into it.
Oh my gosh, you know what? I haven't actually been asked this question in like years. Um, Usually people have me on podcasts and they just want to know, what it's like to shoot a Hallmark movie in the summertime. So yeah, I mean, I'm the youngest of three kids. I have an older brother as well. He's a beekeeper in Tennessee. He was a firefighter for a really long time. And he actually just left the fire service because his beekeeping hobby kind of took over his life in a cool way.
Okay.
And then I had I still have my big sister Kimberly Williams Paisley, who I've always been very close to. She's 7 years older than me, and then my brother's 4 years older than me. So I was the youngest, and I think I'm every cliche of the youngest child. I love a good time. I am sort of the loudest,
Okay.
most obnoxious of the three kids. My brother went to boarding school when I was in like fifth grade. So then I was an only child from fifth grade until I went off to college too. And so I think I kind of got that only child vibe, where it was like me and my parents hanging out much more than it was with my older brother and sister, who they very much were like parented hard, and
Sure.
with me, like, I cooked most dinners and like had friends over and then would like go out to dinner with my parents and my friends, um but my parents worked a lot. They were always pretty concerned about money.
Mm.
um And that was a big, big stress in our lives and really dictated, a lot of what we were doing, and what we did. So it was rough, but I do think, being the child of freelance work, people who worked in freelance, which I essentially do too now as an actress. I think it created like a pretty good awareness of scrappy work ethic, which I do have, sometimes to a fault. And I'm really goal oriented, task oriented. I'm really organized. This is my bedroom. This actually is not my bedroom. This My family's super nomadic, but like we move around a lot for work, and I think that would only be possible with two children. I have two children. It would only be possible if I was very type A. So Anyway, it was a great childhood. And one thing that really affected me was that when I was 11, my sister got a movie called Father of the Bride with Steve Martin and Diane Keaton and Martin Short. And I was already really obsessed with my sister. So then suddenly she was a movie star. And then forever till right now, she's my idol. And she's a really good role model. She's a really good girl, like a good friend, you know? She's got the best advice and she's so kind and so generous. So she's my best friend and
That's awesome.
also, my icon. Not to be weird, but it is a little
No, that's
weird.
that's awesome. That's so awesome to hear. I love it. I do want to. So Kaz in the chat, he did to what we were just talking about. He says he lost his grandparents to Alzheimer's, and his aunt is suffering it with it now. And my parents have been and are currently the caretakers. So it's an absolutely exhausting endeavor. So thank you, Ashley, so much for what you do. So
Yeah, of course, 'cause I mean, this is you're not alone, and here's the amazing thing about what the Alzheimer's Association does is they provide resources to caretakers and people living with the disease all over the country. So wherever you live, cause you can call the 1-800 Alzheimer's number that you just have to Google it. And you'll be connected with somebody locally to you who can sit with you 24 hours a day and talk through what's going on, connect you with other people who are dealing with the disease, connect you with resources, therapists, hospitals, programs, studies, etc. And I highly recommend that. We used them a bunch when my mom was living with the disease. And as all of us are living more and more, we're more and more of us are going to get this disease, Alzheimer's and other dementias. So one of the critical things that the Alzheimer's Association does and what I'm passionate about is destigmatizing the disease. So I'm really glad that you spoke up about it right now. I'm really glad you let me know. Please keep doing that.
yeah, that's so awesome. One more question, and you kind of alluded to it. You kind of brought it up. Your brother-in-law is Brad Paisley. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious. Were you a country music fan prior to? Are you now? I mean,
I
where
got to
does?
tell you something. I can't I am a Brad Paisley fan. But I am not a country fan in general. It's not really my jam. I am such a like hippie. Like I love indie music. I love you too. I love Coldplay. You know what I mean? Like I'm from New York. Sort of begrudgingly was like, who's this Brad Paisley guy when she started dating him? Because I saw the cowboy hat and the tight jeans and I was like, what are you doing? She was like, no, he's really cute and he's really talented. And I went to my first concert and it was such a different vibe, like I grew up going to like concerts in Portchester, New York. Like I went to like a live concert, where there's people crowd surfing and you're like I remember one time I was at this live concert and I held on to this like fence while the like crowd behind me like tried to like pull me like during the music, and I was like, yes. That was really my relationship to live music, like, was just, like, feel it and drink and, smoke a little bit and really, like, get it in your bones, you know? So to
Sure.
show up to a Brad Paisley concert where it's, like, fear and, like, fuzzy, um, cowboy hats, was a very new environment for me, but what I loved about it was that Brad was the way that he performs is so direct. Like he really makes contact with his audience and gets really specific to who he's singing to. So it's much more intimate at a Brad Paisley concert than, the concerts at the time that I was attending. And it felt a lot more sort of humble and kind of salt of the earth, um and I do think that that's Brad. I mean, he's an amazing, first of all, he's an amazing guy, amazing husband, amazing dad, but also just watching him on stage, the pure skill that comes out of that guitar playing is it's like, I don't really know what he's doing. It's like I don't really know what
Just
it
like
is.
that. Just
But
like that.
like if you actually watch what he's doing, you're like, wait, each one of those times that he's connecting is a sound, and they're all different, and it's so fast. I mean, I really think he's one of the best living guitar players right now. And he's also got an incredible skill for comedy. He's been doing this like live comedy show in Vegas recently where it's kind of like, an intimate night with Brad Paisley. And, he just gets up there and starts talking and making jokes. And I think he did 4 shows this year, and I think he's hoping to do more next year, but, people are just loving watching him live in this cool. So, anyway, he always surprises me. He's a really, really, really he's a really fun guy to suddenly have in your family.
Okay, so now the question of the hour: who's funnier, me or him?
Ooh, you're so mean. What are
I'll,
you doing to me, man?
I'll recant the question. I'll recant the question. I'll
You
let you. I'm gonna let you.
should.
I'm gonna let you slide on that one. Well, privately, you can tell me it's me. It's fine. Uh, so okay, so we got to know a little bit about you before the career. Well, actually, one more question then before we get into your career. Do you remember when the thought became like, oh, I kind of want to do this acting thing? Like, do you remember what you were thinking you might be when you grow up before it was acting?
Well, yeah, initially when I was growing up, I wanted to be my sister. And then when she became Julia Roberts, I wanted to become her,
Right.
like a famous actress. Not
Obviously.
famous so much, just I'm all like honestly, I am so weird with my sister. I just think she's amazing. And we are different. But she at a young age, as I was looking at strong women, around me loving their job, she was in the forefront,
Mm.
I mean, it did kind of mess me up a little bit, like being right on the cusp of puberty at my very most awkward. And my sister's like on Leno, going to the Oscars. But I gotta say, like, there was always kind of that thing. Like, my sister became an actress because she was so beautiful. Like, she was the kind of kid, like, walking down the street, like, people would stop and be like, Can I take a picture of your child?" Like, she was so pretty. And I was her little sister who was always like hiding behind my mom. And I was like, ah, like she's like this stunning vision. And everyone's like, Can I touch her skin? And I'm like, Hi. Because she fulfilled that role for me of just like, well, look at her,
Mhm.
and I think I that's still sort of our dynamic because I'm just always like, I mean, I don't know, she's just look at her, um so her becoming an actress was just like, well, yeah, me too, I'll do that too, I wanted to go to the college that she went to. I wanted to live in her room when she left for college. I still have we call it sad blanket. It's actually my 8-year-old was using it last night, but it's called sad blanket. And it's the blanket that we used to be my sister's sleeping bag. But when she went to college and I cried myself to sleep every night for like 3 months, I started sleeping in her sleeping bag, and now whenever something bad happens, my husband brings it out. It's called Sad Blanket, and now the kids use it too.
That is so adorable. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. I recommend that everybody has a sad blanket. And because it's
I
also good code, like if I'm sitting on the couch wrapped in sad blanket, my husband walks in, he's like, "Oh, okay. Got it. Got it." Like immediately. He knows
no,
what
hey,
kind of day it's been.
I'm a big proponent. We talk about mental health all the time. And like I know like me and my wife, we have the code word where it's like, hey man, I'm just feeling blue. Like when you can't put that, like I
Mm,
can't verbalize what I'm feeling. It's a
yeah.
code blue situation of where like I'm having a rough day and you
Yep.
need that support. But that's so
Yeah,
awesome that
I
you guys
say,
have that.
like, I'm at a low tide. That's what I say.
Low
I'm at a
tide.
low
Like
tide
that.
right now because I
Like that.
want him to know that I might be a little impatient, you know?
It's just warning. It's warning. We're just putting it out there. Um,
I'm at a low tide right now.
so speaking about your sister and your career and everything, I know that you made your acting debut in a non-speaking role in the 1993 drama Indian Summer, which featured your
Correct.
sister Kimberly.
How
Yeah,
do you think I got that job?
nepotism. It's a great thing in the business, isn't it?
It's the best. Yeah.
What was? Do you remember like that crossing the threshold, going like, okay, now I'm doing this? Do you remember that? Like what you thought, what you
And
felt?
nobody has ever asked me this question before. So, I was at sleepaway camp, okay? I was in 7th grade, and I was at sleepaway camp called Chimney Corners in Massachusetts in the Berkshires. And I went into the I had asthma, right? So I had to go into the like nurses station twice a day at camp. So I always became friends with the nurses. They always had like tissues and, candy in case you were crying. So I became friends with this nurse, and I came in one day and she said, um, "Your mom is on the phone in the back. She's waiting for you." And I was like, "What?" And I thought somebody had died.
Sure.
You get a call at sleepaway camp, especially in 1992, and that's bad news.
Hmm.
There were no cell phones. There's no, it was snail mail was the only contact with your parents. So I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And I ran into this back office, which I'd never been allowed in before. And I picked up the phone, and my mom's on the phone. And she goes, um, what's his name? Mike Binder. Mike Binder, the director of Kim's new movie that she's shooting right now, saw a picture of you. Kim showed him a picture of you, and he wants to offer you a part in the movie, where you play the camp slut. I was like, what? And meanwhile, all I wanted to be was an actress, right? Like I'm in the play at this summer camp. I'm doing all this stuff because this is like a couple years after Father the Bride. And she's like, "But here's the thing, you have to leave camp a day early." And I was like, "I don't care. Mike Binder, let's do it." And literally my mom was like, "Okay, okay, 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 okay. I'll tell them." So I left. They picked me up a day early from camp, which is a big deal. Like I didn't have the like goodbye ceremony, like the graduating from archery, bonanza, the final capture the flag. I gave all that up to play the camp slut at my mom's insistence. And she picked me up, and we flew from Boston to Canada, and then I got to work for like 2 weeks on this movie, with Alan Arkin, and Elizabeth Shue was in it, and all these amazing actors. It was such a cool movie. Yeah, I was the camp slut. So I've come a long way to Hallmark Christmas Queen, you know? It's just hard. Remember I told you about hard work and perseverance?
Yeah, it's the circle of life. You start out the slut and you end the Hallmark queen.
I don't know, man. I don't think we've circled back yet. I might go back to the slut. It's a long career.
I mean,
One can
somebody's got to
only
put that
hope.
on it. You got to put it on a shirt. You got to put that on a shirt. That's a great quote. Uh, someone clip it and use it on social media. So I mean, and that's so awesome. And honestly, there's so much in your career that we could be here for hours, and I gotta respect your time. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about How I Met Your Mother,
Yeah.
because I'm a diehard fan. I love it.
Aw.
I'm one of those people that there's those people. If Friends is better, or The Office is better, this better. How I Met Your Mother to me stands on top of just of the giants of TV, because it's just such a great show. Be that as it is, I got to share and I never do this because I'm like, you're the guest, you're here, we're here to hear from you. But I got to say, the show has special meaning to me and my wife as well. As we were dating, we were watching it. When we got married, we would watch it, we would rewatch it, finish it, and then start it over again. Like, that was just kind of our thing to do. When my wife got pregnant and her hormones were all over the place, that was like the thing she could lock into and kind of just
Mm.
ride the wave of all the hormones and things.
Mhm. Mhm.
I remember when the baby was born and she was dealing with a little bit of the postpartum, and she's sitting in a rocking chair crying hysterically, and I'm like, what can I do? And she's like, I don't know. And then I would just put on How I Met Your Mother, and her and the baby would just lay
Wow.
there and watch. And so,
Wow.
yeah, and I mean, literally at least once a year, we start over from the beginning and watch it again.
No
Absolutely.
way!
I swear to God.
That's so
I don't
cool.
say this to other guests. This is not blowing smoke. It's true. We really love it. And to this day, we still say you should have been the mother. I don't care. I've talked to Carter
This is
about
what
it.
I say.
I
Totally. What did
you
Carter say?
yeah, I mean, he says
He said
they had
regret.
thoughts. Yeah, Well, like, there was, I mean, obviously, and this, here's a real question. I know that there was a legitimate concern. They're like, well, if the show ends on season one, we need to be able to wrap it up. And were you aware at the time you're shooting this that if it doesn't go past the season one, that, like, you're the mom and surprise? Like, were you aware of that at the time?
Absolutely not. No. Did not
Okay.
know. I do remember calling my agent after I'd done a couple episodes, and I was like, "I think the show's kinda great. Could you, like, call them and just say, like, that I'd love to be the mother if they'd want me?" And he was like, in hindsight, this was so long ago. I think this was, like, almost 20 years ago. Like, I would never say something like that now, but, like, at the time, I'm like, "Let them know I'm open to being the mom,"
Yeah,
you
like, I
know?
wanna be the main thing that drives this
Yeah,
show. Can you let them know?
yeah. Just let them know that, like, I would be open to that if they wanted to make me an offer.
Hey,
Amazing.
you miss
Um
100% of the shots you don't take. That's all I'm saying. Take
It's
a shot.
true. So, and my agent, like, came back and he was like, apparently they have a plan." And I was like, "Oh, alright, okay. Am
Yeah.
I am I in the plan? No? Oh, okay, okay, okay." And then, and then I did, like, that little stint in season 1, and then, the show sort of grew in popularity, and a couple of times, I would run into some of the like I would run into Carter, I'd run into Pam Fryman, who's one of the direct or was the director and producer. And a couple of times they would be like, "We want to have you back." And I would be like, "Okay," like no call, no. And then finally when they did call again, I was so excited. But I have to say, like, going back again, it was so fun because everybody, had sort of changed and grown, and I think it was, like, in season 8 or something.
Yeah. Like, yeah,
And,
'cause I think you had an appearance in season 5, and then came back again in, like, 7 and 8, and then a little thing in 9. So, yeah.
maybe that's right. I don't know. I don't remember.
Not that I watch it or
But,
anything.
I know, I'm like, "Whoa." But yeah, it was sort of spanned, but I have to say, like, when, since it ended, how many years ago did it end? 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
2016? So it's been,
2016.
yeah, it's
So
been a little while.
since then, I feel like it's even grown in popularity, and I think it's because it's been rerunning on Netflix and stuff.
Mhm.
So I'm getting recognized for Hallmark movies and that's about it right now,
I mean,
which is
there's worse
crazy.
things to be like, you weren't you on
Oh
that
no.
hemorrhoid commercial? Like, there's worse things
Yeah.
to be recognized for. I mean, Victoria.
Totally. I
Um,
wish they'd recognize me as the camp slut, damn it.
oh yeah,
But
that's well, I
apparently
mean,
I've aged out.
if you're, yeah, the child camp slut, I mean, might be a weird thing to be recognized for. Um, so there was an online straw poll that was conducted by the production staff, and they said, like, which of the main character, Ted Mosby's girlfriends, were fans' favorites, and you won, right? You won, like, and it wasn't, I mean, wasn't really close. Like it really wasn't close. I think the vote was 128 to 117 over Robin being the next most popular.
Right. See,
So,
I always thought she was gonna be the mother anyway.
I mean,
But people always say to me, like, "Do you wish you'd been the mother?" And I'm like, "It would have been fucking great. It would have been awesome."
of
But
course.
I do think there is something to be said for this underdog thing where if it had been me and there was an uproar and everyone was mad about it, that would have been awful. I would so
Mm,
prefer conversations like this for the next 30 years of my life than conversations with people being like, I never liked you as the mother. That would have been terrible. So I prefer this.
yeah. Yeah. No, I
Taking the
mean,
high road.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, I'm curious. As obviously you were behind the scenes and you were involved in the show. I mean, and this is something I talked to Carter with right here in this show, and also privately because I'm just that weird. But the final season, the way the show kind of wrapped it up, it was controversial to some fans, and I feel like no show or very few shows can really end a long run that everybody celebrates and loves. So, kind of, what camp were you in? Were you happy with how it was? Do you wish it was a little bit different? I mean, we can speak. Hey, I have Carter's permission. We can speak freely about the show, so it's totally
This is
fine.
gonna be disappointing for you, but I loved it.
You
I
loved it.
thought it was
Okay.
romantic. I thought it was sad, poignant. I thought it was beautifully done. I was a fan. I was into it. I really was.
Obviously, coming from someone who does Hallmark, I mean, obviously, you just
See? You gotta go for the heartstrings.
yeah. No, I honestly, I'm in the middle because I really do think that it was well done and established, and but sometimes, but then you do have the like, oh, we've come this way just for her to, in one episode. Oh, it's just anyway.
What would you have want? You would have wanted him to fly to Germany and just pick me up from a bakery?
I'm not gonna say that. If anything, honestly, that's fine. I love the actress. Was it Christina? Oh my god, I can never pronounce her last
Kristen
name.
Milioti.
Milioti, thank you.
She's wonderful.
Phenomenal actress. I think she did a great job as the mother.
Mhm,
It was so sad to see her die in the last episode.
mhm,
You want his happy ending, and if I'm being honest,
mhm.
I don't like the backs. Ted has to go back to Robin. That's just me. I love Robin. I love Colby Smulders, but I just the backslide. That was another thing of the show. The backslide, like. I didn't like the backslide. That's just me personally. Me
I
personally.
loved it because to me, it felt like he was coming home. I
Oh,
loved it.
mm.
I was into
Anyway,
it.
but you know what? I liked you right up until this moment. I'm so sorry.
Fair,
Uh,
man. Fair. I get it. It only
um,
took 46 minutes.
so let me ask you this. One last question then for How I Met Your Mother. We saw, like you said, Victoria in Germany at the end of season 9. She's wearing Ted's locket, whatever. But how, if it's up to you, what's her ending? What's the ending story for Victoria? Where does she go after that moment? What's her? Does she have a happy ending or is it a tragic downfall? Like where's Victoria now?
I actually had this idea for like a spinoff called Victoria about an expat living in Germany. Like the opening of the show would be like me on stage singing Victoria, that song Victoria. She's up there like hanging out. She's like handing out cupcakes to the audience and like singing, and then she like steps off stage, like grabs a cigarette from someone and like walks over, and she's just still trying to find it.
Mm,
Like she's still, she's always such an idealist, always sort of this dreamer about fate. And I think I like the idea of Victoria 20 years later is like still holding on to fate. And
mm,
like, you know, her ovaries have dried up and she's tired and she's eaten a lot of cupcakes,
mm,
like what is her life now? What happens if you uphold the ideals of a 24-year-old you
mm,
for all that time? And ultimately, what's interesting is she would kind of turn into Ted a little bit, like perpetually dating, getting, trapped in things, but, from an expat perspective. So she's an American in Germany. Anyway, I always thought that would be fun.
Hmm,
a little
I like it.
spin-off. But I would see it as like more of like a single camera half hour as opposed to like a multicam format
Sure.
with a laugh track.
Yeah, a little sitcom.
Yeah, because I think it might get a little dark with
I
Victoria.
I think that would be I think it'd be great to get a little dark with that character. I think that would
I
be
think
awesome.
shit goes down with her. I think she
I
gets
mean,
pretty
listen,
hardcore.
I spent many years in Europe, and how they get down over there is a whole different thing to what's
See?
happening here in the States. So I
See?
could dig it.
Yeah.
I could dig it. Uh, this conversation's not going
Well, you
anything like I
guys,
thought it would.
let me know if anybody here would watch the Victoria spin-off.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We have here's a fan favorite
Victoria,
question.
shit gets real. Yeah.
Victoria After Dark. The from Heath. It's one of his favorite questions. He asks everybody. Do dinosaurs have boobs?
No, dinosaurs are reptiles, so they're not mammals.
Mm,
Cause, right?
as far as we know.
I'm pretty sure that reptiles can't be mammals.
Well, no, no, that part, yes. I'm just saying, millions of years ago, maybe reptiles did.
I mean, do they have a chest area? Yeah.
Yeah,
But I assume what he means by boobs is a mammary gland. Does
I would.
everybody give the same answer?
You would be surprised. You would be very surprised at some of the random answers we get on this show. So,
I mean,
that is
did I take the
no,
question too seriously?
not at all. That is a perfectly reasonable, responsible answer. We've heard
Has
some.
anybody ever given that answer before?
I mean, you'd fall into the majority. They're reptiles.
It was a boring fucking answer, wasn't it? You can tell me.
I mean, it was safe. It was a safe
You
answer.
know what,
Safe.
Heath? Get a new question.
Yeah, he set you up for failure on that one. Um, so
I bet Eddie answered right.
Eddie, I think that was why we went 2.5 hours long because Eddie went on a rant. So I mean, another great show you were on, the Jim Gaffigan show. So funny, so good. Like that looked like a really fun show to be on, and I'm sure the candid answer is like, "Oh, it was fun, it was great, it was great." But did you guys really have as much fun as it looked, or was it work? I mean,
Well, I mean, it's always work. I always think it's funny when actors are like, gosh, we had some really hard times because the amount of we could be bankers. The amount of pure joy in an acting job, it's pretty high. There's a
Mm,
lot of fun and joy in the life of an actor. So, I but that being said, I had a 4-month-old baby. I'm
mm.
sorry. I was pregnant when we shot the pilot, and then I had a 4-month-old baby on set with me every day for the first season, and then the second season I was pregnant. So I was a little bit in survival mode, which actually really worked for the character because she had
Right.
5 kids.
You had
She
all
was
the
a stress
kids.
monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was actually like it was a really good safe time for me to not have to be auditioning and putting myself out there as much as just nursing, changing diapers, memorizing lines, just doing my job.
I'm
Um,
I'm wondering, do you think pre first baby, do you approach that character differently after then having the toddler, having the baby right there? Do you approach that
yeah.
character differently?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the most method I've ever gone. But yeah, it was absolutely. I think it definitely informed a lot. I mean, the thing is like women with children, it's just there's 47 balls in the air all the time. The operating at such a high level. Especially this character was living in, we got to shoot it in Manhattan on location, all real locations. We were shooting all over we shot at the Statue of Liberty and I mean, just literally all over Manhattan, outside, inside, in the winter, cold. And this character lived in a 5-story walk up with Jim and their 5 children in a 2-bedroom apartment. And she was a powerhouse. that character. And she was based on Jeannie Gaffigan, Jim's real life wife, who was a writer and executive producer and often director on the show. So I had the resource all the time,
Mhm.
hey, what's this like? How do I do this? I was always like chopping carrots in the middle of scenes and checking for lice and folding and stuff like that. And Jeannie was right by my side, helping me all the time. I was really, really grateful for her expertise, not just as a mother, but also she's a brilliant writer. She writes with him all of his stand-up specials and all of his books.
Mhm.
And he says that. He's like, in the beginning of each one of his books, he's like, "Hi, my wife wrote this book."
Hey, credit where credit's due. Uh, do
Exactly.
do you, when your children are older, will you tell them that you only had them just so you could rehearse for this role? Like, is that like you guys are just a
I think I
byproduct? I
should
was
tell them
auditioning.
now. Yeah, I think I should tell them now because like it always uses a little dose of humility.
There you
But I
go.
will say my so when I had that 4-month-old baby, he became backup baby. We had to open up a Coogan account and everything because he was always there. And if one of the other babies, wouldn't stop crying or something, they always had to be a backup baby. So he never
Sure,
was actually on camera, but he got paid sometimes, and that money is still in an account.
that's
Nailed
awesome.
it.
There you go. That's parenting done right. There you go.
Yeah.
Get him addicted. So I mean, again, running low on time, but you've acted with some. I mean, a variety, huge names. You've worked with Kate Hudson and John Krasinski and Paul Rudd, Meg Ryan, just to name a few. Who has been your absolute favorite person to work with?
Great question. Well, I did do 2 movies with my sister, Kimberly Williams Paisley. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she's my idol.
Kind of a big deal.
Um, I did get to do 2 movies with her, which was some of the most fun I've ever had. We did a couple of Hallmark movies last year together, which was so fun. Um,
Sister swap, good stuff.
Sister Swap, it was so good. I mean, yeah, I've I've had such a lucky I've had such a lucky time. I mean, John Krasinski was amazing getting to improv. We got to improv a bunch of those scenes and he's brilliant and he makes everything better. I did this movie with Tom Cavanaugh in the early 2000s called Snow. It was my first Christmas movie. And at the time I had just come off of this sitcom on NBC and I was really freaked out about the business and I felt a lot of pressure. I was like 22, I was so stressed. I just wasn't having fun. And I got this movie and my agent said it's 3 weeks, you got to go do it. So I said yes and I didn't know Tom Cavanaugh. Actually, I knew him a little bit because I'd watched Ed. But, getting to watch him, he's such a seasoned professional, but not only that, he's very relaxed and he finds joy everywhere. He has this crazy ability to find humor and joy and bits, and heart, where it isn't in the script. And he created this kind of innate curiosity in me when it comes to material for finding more in the material. And doing that movie with him, and then we ended up doing a sequel, and then he became my friend, and the guy gives great advice. He is, he's a family man. He's like an Irish Catholic guy. His wife is one of my good friends, and his perspective on storytelling really changed my own, and truly really informs how I am as a director right now. That's really what I've been working on a lot
Mhm.
this past year, and he really opened up the world for me. He really did. By the way, I don't think I've told him that. I gotta tell him.
You have now.
Yeah, he really did kind of change my life a little bit. So that was awesome. But then also, there's people, and there's also
Sure.
that a couple years ago I started doing these Hallmark movies, and at first I just sort of I did them because it was a job. I'm a
Sure.
journeyman actress. I don't say no, really. I love to work. I love to be creative. And at first there were these sort of like sweet saccharine stories. And then there was a big changeover at Hallmark a couple of
Mhm.
years ago. And what they're doing now is some of the most it's actually reminds me a lot of what Tom Cavanaugh taught me about storytelling. They have opened up the door, and I don't know if you've seen any Hallmark movies in the last 6 months or so, but there's a shift, right?
Big
So
difference.
they've empowered the talent now. A lot of us are writing our own material, directing our own material, producing our own material, and it's from our heart. So the stories are personal to us. I got to do like a straight up rom-com this past May called Two Tickets to Paradise that they just let me go off the rails with my comedy, which I honestly hadn't been encouraged to do since I did this Warner Brothers movie called Something Borrowed. And then, I'm writing a movie for them right now that is a story purely from my heart. And they're love stories, but there's humor
Yeah.
for the first time in a real way. There's this movie called Three Wise Men and a Baby this year. The Christmas Sitter. There's a lot of representation, and I'm really, really proud. It's the best partnership I've ever had as a as an employed creative.
That's
And
nice.
I'm so into this network. It's
That's
really cool what they're
That's
doing.
it's like you have my script because my next question was, man, you've done so much with Hallmark, and there's been such a big shift, and they're doing things differently. Like, what's the key to success? You've answered it. You answered it.
Sorry.
You beat me to it.
I Eddie McClintocked it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so in the place, so we know, who's someone that you're dying to work with. If you could right now blank check, there's this actor or duo or anybody, who would you want to work with? Who you dying to share a scene with?
Hmm. Oh, this is such a tough question.
You can just
I'm
start
a
rambling
I'm
off
a
names too. It's just like, "Oh, yeah, this
all
guy,
right.
that guy, this guy."
I'm a really big fan of, people who have who generate their own material,
Mm,
Ava DuVernay is a director, but she's somebody that I would kill to work with in some capacity. She's taught me so much just from me sort of obsessing about her. And I think she's really brilliant. I would love, love, love to work with her. There's a lot of really exciting stuff happening in TV. It's a bananas time in television right now. I'm just like everybody else, massive fan of White Lotus.
mm.
Of course, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is a hero. I think I've seen both seasons of Fleabag like 5 times, and that's saying a lot because I have 2 tiny children,
Sure.
um, and a full-time job. Um, there's it's an exciting time right now. I think rules are being broken all over my industry. Um, they used to make a pilot for a TV show, and then they'd decide if the pilot was gonna get picked up. That doesn't happen anymore.
Mm.
Now, like, a writer or a director sells a network on an idea, and then they order it to series
You just run with it.
and let them go, It's amazing.
I think with the advent of all the streaming services, there's such a need for content that it's a buyer's market, right? Like we need to stock the shelves with things. So bring it all on, I think.
Yeah. That being said, it's also really hard for me. I'm trying to sell a couple different things right now and everyone's passing. It's still a cruel industry, My husband just had like a big show that was like totally picked up and all ready to go, and they'd ordered 3 more scripts and then they just pulled the plug, because there's like a changeover. So it's also like we're also kind of flailing and terrified just like normal. you know? But that's why it's cool working with Hallmark because, it's job security, which I've never had before, but B, they really want me to make stories from my heart. They really do.
Yeah.
And with my comedy, which I've never had before, you know?
That's awesome.
So that's
Uh,
cool.
I don't want to hold you any longer than we've already
Okay.
have. And
What time is it?
honestly,
Oh yeah.
there's so much more. I want to talk about your directing. Your writing is so good. I've read some of your things.
Oh,
Truly
thanks.
inspiring.
Thanks.
we're gonna have you back another time
Okay,
down the
I'll come back.
road.
But
Part
wait, you
two.
have to ask me what I have coming out soon.
That was the very. You gotta stop reading ahead of my script. You gotta stop it. Let the people know, what do you have coming up? What can they see?
Okay.
I know Nashville Country Christmas is coming. I'm gonna be watching.
How did you know about that?
I know things. I know things.
Okay, so I did. I
Please.
directed Nashville Country Christmas, which is starring Tanya Tucker. Amazing, awesome little movie. I don't know if there are any Tanya Tucker fans out there. She is incredible, and I directed the movie. I'm super proud of it. Anna Ortiz and Keith Carradine are also in the movie. And then I also acted in a movie that is called 5 More Minutes for Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. It airs December 17th. It is a sequel to last year's 5 More Minutes starring Nikki DeLoach. It is not a comedy. I mean, it's me, so I always get a little goofy, but it was really cool because these are the 2 movies I did for Hallmark this year. Was Two Tickets to Paradise, which was like kind of a broad comedy, and then this 5 More Minutes movie, which is like a pretty intense Christmas drama. So you're going to see me getting a little emotional. It's some really good storytelling. It gives you all the Christmas feels. I think it's the last Christmas movie of the year, December 17th. So please, please, please check it out. Movies and Mysteries. I would love the support, and I'd love to hear what you think. I had a great time shooting it.
Absolutely. I will be tuning in. I will be setting the DVR. We'll be watching. Me and the wife. We're gonna be we're rooting for you. Go Victoria.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
But yeah, thank you so much for doing this. This was absolute best. Everybody sending so much love to you in the chats.
Aw,
I wasn't gonna stop the show every
good.
5 minutes to do that, but
Sure, sure. Well, also, if you guys are fans, join me on Instagram. I'm at Ashley Williams and Company. I try to post a lot. I have like a really colorful, hilarious life, and we have fun. So come check me out there.
once again, jumping ahead, I was gonna say, where can people
Oh,
follow you
shoot.
on social
I'm
media?
so sorry.
But it's fine. It's totally
I
fine.
told you I was type A.
Do you want to run the show? Do you want to run the show? Like
Honestly,
you can.
I think I would nail it.
They would prefer you over me. Absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
is like what I did when I was like, I would be open to being the mother if they're interested. Fine, CJ, I will host.
This has been absolute blast. People, we will share your social medias. We'll let the people know where this has been an absolutely amazing. We have to have you for a part 2 so we can dive into the directing and the writing and all that, and promote any other stuff you have coming up, because I know you're going to be very, very busy over the next couple of years. I will give you the last 5 seconds to say goodbye to our audience, and then we'll toss it to a break.
Oh, geez, 5 seconds. I love you
10.
guys.
I'll give you
Thanks for
10.
having me. I'm so happy to be here. And I can't wait to come back. I'll come back.
Awesome. Absolutely. Guys, stay tuned. I'm going to go say goodbye to our guest, and we'll be right back. We'll be back. Damn, it's one of the, we'll be right back.
I just called you CJ, so we're fine.
We're good. We're delirious with laughter and fun. All right, guys, we'll be right back.